This is the iPhone 14 and this is the iPhone 15. Which of these phones is really best for you? With the iPhone 15 set to become official in just a couple of days, there is a ton of hype around this iPhone. Hold on a second, Apple fanboy, get out of your reality distortion field. 15's fine, but honestly, I think the iPhone 14 is a better buy. In fact, let me break down the top 5 reasons you should buy an iPhone 14 over an iPhone 15. What do you think about that? And let me be the one to tell you the top 5 reasons you need to buy the iPhone 15, the new one, over the iPhone 14. To keep a cat fight from breaking out between me and my alter ego, I'm gonna break this video up into 5 distinct sections. We're gonna talk about screen, we're gonna talk about camera, battery life, extras, and the all-important price. And on the subject of screen, I actually don't have that many reasons to sway to the iPhone 15 because not a whole lot is going to change. We are supposed to get some thinner bezels on all models. The dynamic island is gonna go to all models this year, not just the Pros. But in terms of like features, the Pro features are still gonna be on the Pro phones. Regular phones are still gonna be 60 hertz. Screen sizes are gonna be the same. I wish I could make a better case for these phones, but basically the big thing with the iPhone 15 is dynamic island. Okay, so you just kind of made my point for me. Dynamic Island is cool, but isn't it sort of a gimmick? And how much does that little chunk of screen real estate really matter? Look, I'm all for cool things. I have a 14 Pro, I've got the Dynamic Island, but like I sort of mentioned, I think it's sort of a gimmick. I understand why Apple probably wants to move in that direction, but I don't think that is certainly enough to get you to spring for the extra money and, pay the extra money to actually get the iPhone 15. Again, I don't know if that really matters all that much to most people. Okay, the iPhone 14 might have won that round, but where the iPhone 15 is gonna win is with camera, because there are a couple of cool camera upgrades coming to the 15 series. One of the biggest, is that the 48 megapixel main camera sensor from the 14 Pro series is now moving down the line, coming to the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. So this means higher quality and just better photos and better videos on the cheaper, more attainable iPhone 15 models for this year. On the Pros, the 15 Pros, they should be getting some new sort of state-of-the-art image sensors from Sony, and also better optical zoom range on the 15 Pro Max, or the 15 Ultra, whatever Apple decides to call it, doubling from 3x to 6x of telephoto zoom range on the 15 Pro Max. All right, you got me. That's a very valid point, and I think that is a good case to be made for getting the iPhone 15 over the iPhone 14. Software is great, but there's only so much software can do when there's better camera hardware, and that's what's coming with the 15, though I will make 2 important points. One is that after using the 48 megapixel main camera for the last year in the 14 Pro, I'm happy to see it go down to the regular 15 phones, but I don't think even side by side, you'd be able to tell a difference. Unless you know what you're looking for, and unless you're pixel peeping, I don't think it's gonna be that huge of a difference. But what I do think is important is that Apple can improve this hardware over time with software updates, and if every phone now moving forward has the 48 megapixel main camera sensor, then they can do a lot with software to enhance that as the years go by. With a 14 series phone, if you don't have a 14 Pro, you're stuck with 12 megapixels for better or worse, whereas with these newer phones, you are getting a more versatile system, which is nice, and more megapixels. And more megapixels is never necessarily a bad thing. And then also, you've got better telephoto zoom lens. I mean, again, it's a difference of hardware versus software. Try as I might, I cannot get more than 3x telephoto zoom out of my iPhone 14 Pro Max, by the way, whereas the 15 Pro Max will have 6x. So if you want the very most zoom capabilities, you're gonna wanna go with the newer phone. And honestly, if camera is super important to you and you wanna sort of future-proof yourself and have the best camera hardware possible, that might be a reason to go with the 15 series. So in terms of camera, I've gotta concede 15, you win. Thank you very much. I'm here to reclaim my prize and also tell you about the iPhone 15's battery life, because that is going to be significant as well. You might have heard some rumors about some poor battery life on the 14 Pro series in particular, and the 15 series should be much better, not just because we're going to get a new chip that's more powerful and also more efficient, but every single iPhone 15 model is getting a physically larger battery inside. So battery life should be better. Do I need to say anything else? I mean, physically larger battery. So better battery life, There you go, on the iPhone 15 series. Okay, that's true, and it's a valid point, but I do think the situation is maybe a little overblown. And look, I'll say from personal experience, I've got a 14 Pro Max. Battery life on this phone is awful, but I do think that if you were to buy a 14 today, or if you were to buy one after the Apple event, you'd get a newer phone that maybe Apple might have quietly fixed the issue with batteries, so you wouldn't have this problem. Also, I've noticed it way more on the Pro series than on the regular series, so there might be something with that. Maybe this is just a bad batch of phones that went out around launch day. Not sure what it is, but I don't think it's a huge issue for anyone looking to buy a 14, or at least it shouldn't be a reason for you solely not to buy a 14 series phone. With that said though, battery life is good, but the 15, like camera, is gonna have physically better hardware. We're talking, like my 15 counterpart said, physically larger batteries inside of every single 15 model. While the 14 series has pretty good battery life on all phones, 15 series should be better. More efficient processor, bigger batteries should give you better battery life overall. So if battery life is most important to you, sorry iPhone 14, 15 wins this again. Next up, let's talk about extras, things that you sort of use and maybe see or don't see on the phone that just don't have another category, so I'm gonna put them here. These are things like the new titanium materials on the 15 Pros over stainless steel on the 14 series. Also, of course, elephant in the room, USB-C is coming to the iPhone 15 lineup. They also might be including some USB-C color matched braided cables with every single iPhone 15 model as well. That's gonna be great. Basically, here's what you need to know. USB-C on every single model. The Pros should be capable of faster data transfer speeds and faster wired charging with that USB-C port, though again, even on the regular phones, still gonna be nice to have. Also a difference in chip. The 15 Pros are gonna have the newer A17 chip, while the 15s will have last year's Pro chip, which is the A16. And I think those are all the really big extras you need to know about. What do you gotta say about the 14? Okay, that's nice to have, but that doesn't warrant the extra hundreds of dollars you'd spend. I think the 14 series comes in nice color options itself. It's got great build quality. Yeah, you've got last year's chips. That's the A16 series in the Pros, the A15s in the non-Pros. But honestly, I think we can all agree that Apple Silicon has gotten so good that your phone is gonna be fast. You're never gonna have an issue with sluggishness or any performance issues. These phones are super fast, so I don't necessarily count that in favor of the 15. The USB-C port is sort of a bigger issue. It really depends on how much you value that port. But in terms of extras, 14 series is still a really, really solid phone. And especially in our next category, the price, that's where things get super sweet. And I guess since I'm already introducing price, you can hold on, Mr. 15, because I've got this one. Basically, here's what I'll say about price. Apple has been known to do multiple things when they introduce a new model. Sometimes they keep around the old model, sometimes they don't, sometimes they keep around a couple of models. For example, if you head on to Verizon.com right now, they'll give you an iPhone 13 series for free if you do like the 36-month plan thing. So if you are looking for a free phone, that is one way to do it. And I'm sure carrier incentives and different stores are looking to sort of clear out their iPhone 14 series of inventory. So they're gonna be having some pretty good discounts. If you go to Best Buy, I'm sure Amazon, carriers, there will definitely be some good deals to be had, so you can pick this phone up at a discount. Also, the secondhand market for phones is about to be absolutely flooded with people looking to trade their 14s for 15s. So in terms of pricing, if you're looking to spend the least amount of money possible to get a really good phone, some good deals are coming very, very soon to the 14 that are going to make this series very, very tempting. It's not going to be the newest phone, but you could also save hundreds of dollars and still get a phone that, as of recording this on August 31st, is still the latest iPhone out right now. Not gonna be in the next couple of weeks, but still a really good series. But with that said, all right, Mr. 15, what do you got to say about price? All right, you might have got me there on price because I don't have a lot of good stuff to say about that with the iPhone 15. It looks likely that at least here in North America, we probably won't see a change to the price of the 15 and 15 Plus, but current rumors suggest, a lot of rumors, that the 15 Pro series is going to be getting more expensive by at least $100 to $200. So you might be paying more money than ever before if you want one of the higher end models. We're not really gonna see a lot of big discounts. There are financing options and things you can do, but in terms of like straight MSRP price, it's gonna be more expensive likely on the Pro series and just as expensive for the 15 and 15 Plus. Not really sure if the features justify that, maybe USB-C, but that's what you gotta know about pricing. So bottom line, you're looking at two great iPhones this year. You've got the 14, you've got a 15. You can decide what you want. Honestly, when I look at things, there is a way you can justify it. Like if you're gonna hold on to this phone for the next 5 or 6 years, I would probably personally recommend, if you can afford it, going for the better processor, going with the USB-C port, going with the dynamic island, because these are definitely things that Apple is going to invest in moving forward as they're putting it on their latest and greatest series of phones. On the other hand, it's really hard to ignore that the 14 series has 90% of what the 15 series has, and it's going to be considerably cheaper. It's still a great phone. It's still gonna be an amazing phone. Just because it's gonna be 366 days old doesn't mean it's a bad phone. And if you're looking for the best value for the price, 14 series might just be where it's at. But if you're looking to invest in the future and you do want the latest and greatest, well, you only got 4 choices with the iPhone 15 lineup. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the iPhone 15? Will you be upgrading this year? Will you not be upgrading? Do you think there's enough there to get you to sort of spend the extra money on the 15? You're gonna look at a 14 or a 13 or something else? Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I'll see you all in the next one.